So today we're going to learn how to tie the Lark's head chest harness, otherwise known as a basic chest harness. The tools that you'll need for this tie is going to be a long rope of either 26 to 30, potentially a 40-foot length of rope if you're tying on a larger body. You will need to know the Lark's head single column, a half hitch, and potentially some way to finish up your ropes and burn the ropes at the end. Specifically, we're using a bow at the end of this tie. So let's get to it. So begin with the body of your rope. Make sure you're using the long rope for this exercise. As usual, line up your tails. Make sure there's no annoying little knots here in the middle of your rope, which happens more often than you might like. And this tie, we're going to tie from the back. We're going to be tying top down. So go ahead and place your rope partner's hands on their head or resting on the back of the neck, whichever is more comfortable for you. And then we're going to begin by coming around the left side of the body and over the top portion of the chest. We're going to use a Lark's head knot here. We're going to apply a reverse friction here and make that nice and tight. So good. It should be fairly snug on the top of the chest here. And the reason for that is going to loosen up as we continue to apply the tension around. So you want to make sure that you have a little bit of room to work with there. And come around the left side of the body here again and follow that rope underneath. Then we're going to connect here to that rope. What do I mean by follow underneath? So from the front perspective here, the ropes are going to come under each other and follow around, applying each line top to bottom. Important that you stay in the same pattern here so you don't get any ropes crossed over. Reach over here through that loop that we created by our second wrap there, which is another Lark's head. And just hook your finger in there and pull that rope down and through, creating a reverse friction. Make sure that your lines are come down correctly and apply tension there. And don't worry if this is not centered at this point. We're going to fix that here in a moment after we lock off this tension here. So lock this back tension off here. We're going to use a half hitch. And the best way to do that with when tying on a chest is going to be slightly different than the Lark's head single column. So I want you to hold this with your right hand and then just place your knuckles into the rope like this. So exaggerate it a bit so that you can get used to that motion. You want the rope to actually be on the knuckles of your two fingers here. Make sure you're only using two. Two fingers into the rope, come up behind your wrap, and those two fingers are hungry. They want to eat that rope and hold on to it for you. And we're going to pull that rope down and through this loop that we're holding there. So I'm going to place a finger there to maintain tension as I pull all the way through. Another important point of the tie, make sure you don't just cinch this all the way to the other side here. Instead, hold tension there and tighten to it. You might notice this entire time that I'm tying, page is not moving around at all. So the reason for that is I'm being intentional about where I'm placing tension. And you can see that knot needs to be centered. So I'm just going to come around to the front and rotate the tie until it is centered on the back of the spine here. Check in with any crossing lines. Spin for me. So at this point of the tie, you may have some lines that are crossed over and not where they need to be. You could just fix each one individually, but by fixing one, you're going to cause another problem with another. So easier solution is just take 2 fingers under your wraps here. I'm going to exaggerate this to prove the point. Take 2 fingers under the wrap just like this. Place a thumb onto the line and then wrap that all the way around. And bring those all the way back to the center in the back of the tie. That's going to naturally line up all of those individual strands and make for a cleaner presentation of the finished product. So that's basically just a lark's head single column tied at a larger scale on the chest of our partner here. So now your ropes should be pointing down here. And now we're going to do the bottom strap. Again, from the left side, come around under the breasts or under the chest if you're tying on a male body. And then we're going to hook and reverse friction right here. Let's get it nice and snug. Hook that and reverse. And when you do that, you create a small stem, and then you also reverse the direction of the rope to the other side. Give that a good tug there to keep everything tight, and continue following underneath the 3rd wrap there, coming all the way around the front of the body. And now at this point, we're going to again connect to that bottom wrap, but we're not going to, as we did up above, we're not going to just connect to the one here, because if we do that, notice that big gap it creates there. Not too pretty. We don't like that very much. Not as aesthetic as a finish as you could have. So instead, what we want to do is actually come behind both of those bottom wraps here and hook down and through. Tighten up a bit, and then the same technique that we did above. Knuckles into the rope of our free hand. Come up behind that bottom wrap. Feed those hungry fingers. Pull it down and through that loop. And then collect tension to the center. And at this point, you have a completed lark's head chest harness and some extra rope to use up at the end of that. I prefer to finish with a bow around the center stem here. So that's what we'll do today. You could also, should you want to, you could put hands behind the back, and you could do more into a box shape. And you could even do a single column here, depending on how much rope you have left over. I don't have quite enough rope here to complete a single column. So if you had more like an additional 2 or 3 feet of rope, you could very easily do an inline single column lock off there to use up the last of your rope. What we're going to do here today instead is just hook behind our stem and finish it with a bow. And you can check the other videos for details on how to do that. And there you have it, a completed lark's head single column chest harness. Make sure that the top and the bottom wraps are correctly placed. So you don't want this one to fall down into the softer tissue of the belly area, because that's going to really press into the guts and make that uncomfortable if it's being used for force. Again, make sure that all of your lines are flat. They don't have any crossed over. And in the back here, make sure that everything is nice and neat and finished and centered on the spine. It's going to be the most comfortable position for this one. And the way that we tie this is such that there's no knots in the back here. So it's nice and comfortable on the back should you be laying down with this tie. So what can you do with this tie? You actually have a lot of control that you gain over your partner by just a simple chest harness, even with the hands free here. And so with just a clasping of the spine of the tie here, I have my middle finger under the stem, and I'm grabbing onto the rest of the tie, also tightening everything up a little bit. And you can see pages already moving as I just move my fingers. And if I just move my wrist in either direction, it just forces your partner to go in whatever direction you please. So a very, very strong power dynamic shift that you are creating with a simple chest harness like this. You can also grab from either of these, but if you're applying force with this tie, try to keep it to about 15 to 20 minutes if you are forcefully using this tie for bedroom play, and just observe proper safety precautions. But thanks for coming. Stay naughty.